internships are about journalism $4.99. Okay.
How do I differentiate myself from all of these?
I think that one of the top ways to differentiate yourself from other students who are applying for internship positions or even job positions is by getting involved in student media organizations and having something to show for the work that you've done. You're all making a great start tonight by being involved in Ad Club, listening to guest speakers. I'm sure that you may do some agency tours later this year. Those are a great way to start building contacts. But you need hard copy pieces for your portfolio. In the fields of journalism or mass communication and advertising, employers want to see a portfolio. And you can build that portfolio through the courses that you take in the Greenlee School. So some of you may be taking 201 or getting ready to take 201. You can use some of your 201 pieces as writing samples for the portfolio. Some of you may be taking 342L, the design lab. You can use those pieces as a part of a portfolio. The student media experience here on campus is fantastic. Get involved in Cardinal and Gold. Get involved in the Iowa State Daily or Ethos magazine. Do anything that you can on campus to start building those skills so that you have a full portfolio, so by the time that you're applying for internships and jobs, you have something to show for the work that you've completed. That's probably the top piece of advice that I can give. The other thing that I think is important to keep in mind is to be proactive. Internships, for the most part, are not going to come and find you. You're going to have to seek out the internship experiences, or more importantly, network to find internships that are not posted. If you are not on LinkedIn, get involved right away. Go to LinkedIn tonight and start creating your profile. So what you do with LinkedIn is you create a profile for yourself, and I'll show you my profile. It's almost like your online resume. This is the social media site for working professionals. Just because you're not a working professional at this point doesn't mean that you shouldn't have something put together here. So it just lists your name, your basic title, previous experience that you have, education, lists any activity that you have, and then it asks you for your background. So you can list all of the different positions that you've held, either work positions or leadership positions that you've held in college, student media leadership positions that have prepared you well for the field of advertising or journalism and communication. So you can scroll through that. You can list your pertinent skills. So if you have really strong design skills, public speaking skills, writing skills, AP style skills, you can search through their database of skills and add those to your profile. And then the really nice thing is that others who know you can endorse you for those skills. So it's almost like an online endorsement of that person saying, yes, I've worked with this person before, and they do have phenomenal writing skills. Scroll through. You can add your education to this. Most of you will be current students right now. You can also list your honors and awards and any organizational membership as well. So again, great site to get you started. I would create a site tonight if you don't already have one. Then what you do is you start connecting with other professionals out in the field. Connect with your instructors here in the Greenlee School. Connect with former employers that you've had. Connect with your internship supervisors. Connect with the advisors for the student publications that you've worked with. Your other friends in Ad Club, other students in the Greenlee School. And then you can start looking through their connections and see who they know, and you never know when that right connection is going to come up for you. So anyone could connect with me tonight. My contacts are open. So if you start looking through my contacts, I think I have 825. Most of them are Greenlee School graduates. So as you're looking for internships and jobs, you can use those contacts. You can go through me to get introduced to those folks who are currently working out in the field. It's a really simple process through this program. I don't think that it's a bad idea that. Their profiles are out there. I won't guarantee that every person will respond to you, but I don't think that it hurts to try. I have a lot of people send me requests, people who I've never met before in my life. I usually look at their profile to see what connection I may have to them, to see if there would be any mutually beneficial relationship there. And if I don't see any benefit in that, then I'll choose to ignore that specific invitation. But if I think that there's a possibility that we could do work with that person in the future, absolutely. Even though I don't know them personally, I'll accept that invitation. I think that everyone should have an elevator pitch. Elevator pitch being, this is who I am, this is what I'm studying, this is what my career goals are. And then I think after you make it through that short introduction, it's okay to say, I'm looking for internships this summer at this specific organization. Can you help me? Usually when you're applying for an internship or job, you'll need 3 different pieces to apply. Usually there's a resume, a cover letter, and references. The resume is usually the first piece that students work on. The resume is essentially a bulleted list of your qualifications and experience. So really the purpose of a resume is to give employers an overview of your skills and qualifications. A lot of students come to my office with their resumes the first time and it will be in block format, so they'll list a position and then they'll write a paragraph about that position. Nobody wants to take the time to read an entire paragraph about your qualification at one specific organization. You should always provide a bulleted list under the initial heading for the organization where you work. Each bullet should provide a description of what it is that you did for that organization. And those bullet points should all begin with action verbs. Those action verbs should be related to the skills and experience that you are building through your classes, or through your internship sites, or your volunteer experiences, or your student media experience. So if, for example, you are currently a reporter at the Iowa State Daily, you would list your career-related experience. Your title would be reporter, the organization Iowa State Daily. You always want to list the location, so Ames, Iowa, and then you list the dates that you've worked there. Under that title information, you'd start with your bullets. Wrote stories about women's issues and non-traditional students. Generated story ideas during editorial meetings. Designed layouts. So you're thinking about the skills that you're learning as a part of your classes, because in most cases, those are the skills that you would be using in an internship experience that you're applying for. References are interesting because there used to be an assumption that you were being too forward if you sent references along with your resume and cover letter and they were not requested. I recommend looking carefully at position descriptions to see exactly what it is that they're asking you for. A lot of times students will ask faculty members, staff members in the school to serve as references, and that is fantastic. Always remember to ask people before you list them as references with an application packet. A lot of times those students will come back after you agree to be a reference and say, well, will you write a letter of recommendation for me so that I can keep it as a part of my portfolio? That's really not a very effective strategy because you're going to want your references to write letters for you if they're requested that are specific to the organization where you're applying. So if they specifically ask for a letter of recommendation, you'll want to make sure it's a targeted letter of recommendation. The general letters that you just slide into your portfolio really aren't all that effective. Chances are, in the end, that organization will contact your references to have a one-on-one discussion as opposed to just reading through a reference letter. So how does whole process work, I think is the point that you were getting at. So I would start your search now if you're looking for summer or for spring. Those of you who are a little ways out can begin this process as well. The first thing that I always recommend doing is doing a needs assessment. So needs assessment is sitting down and figuring out, what is it that I actually want to do when I graduate? What parts of my major do I really like? What talent do I have? Where can I afford to go geographically? Can I spend $3,000 a month to live in New York City for an unpaid internship over the summer? Think about all of the different pieces that are going to fit together for you there. So that's what I would be doing now. I would also start researching employers and searching for internships that interest you, or contacting employers about potential internships that they have. Okay? We'll talk a little bit more about how you can do that in just a minute. After you do your research about the internship employers, you're going to want to individualize your resume and cover letter for each organization where you're applying. And then submit those application materials to the organization. After you submit an application, you'll always want to follow up to make sure that they received it and see if they have any additional questions for you. Hopefully this process will create an interview situation for you. So they'll call you and ask you to come in for an interview. Or if you've applied at some place in Los Angeles or New York or in a different country, a lot of organizations are doing phone interviews or Skype interviews. Always important to send a thank you note after each interview. My tip for interviewing, ask each person in the interview room for a business card before you leave. Because you're going to want to send a thank you to each one of those folks, and you're really nervous, and you're going to forget people's names. So if you ask for a business card, you have everything that you need by the time you leave that interview. And then finally, evaluate all of your internship offers. Several of our students have multiple internship offers before the summer semester begins. And then that creates a really difficult choice for many of them, but it's a really good problem to have. There are internships at so many different types of organizations out there. So don't limit yourself. Think about what types of things really interest you and what you could really get into over the summer. Okay, some tips for searching. Start early. Some internship application deadlines are very early in the academic year. Newspapers, magazines tend to be very early. Advertising agencies, PR firms, tend to release information in January, and then their deadlines are February or March, and usually you'll find out in late March or April if you have been offered a position. If you're looking at something like the Omaha World Herald or the Des Moines Register, their editorial internships, the deadline is usually sometime in October for the next summer. So again, it's important to plan early. Don't get discouraged, because this can be a really long process. There's not one method that will uncover all of the opportunities that are out there. So it's very important that you're using a variety of resources. So use things like the emails that are sent out. Use things like the career fairs, which will be coming up in a couple weeks. The Business and Industry Career Fair that's hosted through the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Use networking, use job shadow experiences, do everything that you can to get your name out there. And then again, many media-related internships are not posted online, so don't hesitate to contact organizations or specific people to ask. When you ask, you always want to make sure that you know if they offer internships for the summer, who coordinates the internship position, what materials are required, and then how you apply. So who, what, when, where. Don't get discouraged though. If you keep working at it, something will come your way. It really will.